I'm Gorilla Monsoon.
And I'm thankful that I'm not.
Oh, you just can't help yourself, can you, huh?
I don't help anyone.
Huh.
Unless they've got the cash.
Yeah, I'm going to help you out the door if you don't stop.
If you can fit
anyway,
through
folks,
it.
I'm going to knock you out.
Excuse me, but is anyone going to introduce me, bro?
All right. And this is Vince Russo.
I thought it was the mailman.
Huh. Why don't you be serious?
Smells like one.
Well, what the frig, bro?
All right, enough. Folks, coming up in just a short is a podcast hosted by two guys you've never heard of and probably never will.
Monsoon knows a guy who knows a guy, if you know what I'm saying.
I get it.
Oh, will you stop? Folks, Chris and George or something, they do the Hot Tag podcast, and here it is.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Hot Tag Wrestling Show here on the RTB Philly Sports Network, presented by SeatGeek. I'm Chris T. Francesco. George Rogers is joining me. George, let's just admit, how badass is our opening?
Listen, anytime Gorilla Monsoon is going to mention my name,
right?
I'm a happy guy.
Even the brain. Just hearing the brain talk trash, it's like, it has to be that way.
I can't wait to hear Jesse talk trash to me.
I got to work on that. That's a good idea, actually. I'm going to actually get right on that tomorrow.
We know a guy who does.
Who knows a guy?
who does an okay Jesse.
That's right.
It's like his Hogan, but with less brothers.
All right, guys, welcome again. Week by week. Tomorrow is October, so of course we are covering the October 2nd version from 1995 of WCW Monday Nitro and WWF Monday Night Raw. This is the War Room. This is week 4. We are doing a Monday Night War rewind. We are going week by week, following the greatest time in professional wrestling history. And this is where we're at here. Again, to those who have been watching, and you guys are all watching, by the thousands on YouTube. We are so grateful for what you're doing and how much you're taking to this whole endeavor that we chose to do. This was something that, again, George and I just tossed around and we're like, why not? I don't think it's ever been done. I mean, I did see a podcast that did it, but they didn't make it that far. They kind of just stopped at a certain point. But we're here to try to.
There is another YouTube show that does do their own version of this as well, but it's one guy that does it, and he's got clips all spliced in, so he's clearly way more advanced than the two of us are.
Yeah. So good for him. I don't know who that is.
You're just sitting in your kitchen, and I'm sitting in the basement. So I'm down the boiler room with Mick Foley over here.
Well, you're probably way more talented than he was. All right. So let's kind of recap. Last week on Monday Nitro, Lex Luger and Randy Savage agreed to a match that probably could have made money on pay-per-view, but we all know back in this time, the only thing that mattered to WCW was ratings and eyeballs on the television show on Monday Nitro. So we got it for free. Both were in action with them pulling a combined quarter-star rating out of their matches with Kevin Sullivan and Ming. Boy, a main event anywhere around the world. Hulk Hogan promises to be in the arena to address the Giant. We got Kurosawa and Craig Pittman had a match with each other. So when you go to the other side, Monday Night Raw here, Bret Hart, Jean-Pierre Lafitte wrestled. There was a lot going on over on Monday Night Raw. Again, if I'm not mistaken, George, is this the first time they are legitimately opposite of each other?
I think aside from the second week, yes.
Second week they were? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They were head to head the second week.
Okay.
But yeah, this is probably like one of the first few times that they've been head to head. We'll say at the very least.
Okay. At the very least, yeah. For what seems to be like the 900th time in a row, Monday Night Raw takes place from the Grand Center in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Vince McMahon and Jerry the King Lawler are your announcers. Again, like we just said, that the show starts off with last week on Raw video recap that saw the Smoking Guns win the tag team titles. We see a clip of Lawrence Taylor defeating Bam Bam Bigelow at WrestleMania 11. A video package on the 1-2-3 Kid Razor Ramon history airs. And then, like I said in the beginning, highlights from the Bret Hart versus Jean-Pierre Lafitte match at In Your House 3 are shown to hype up their classic rematch. So yeah, let's kind of, over on the other channel, we're live from Denver, Colorado. Eric Bischoff, Bobby the Brain, and Steve Mongo McMichael are ringside to call the action. And again, I don't know if you caught it right away, man. They made jokes about WWF right off the bat.
They can't help themselves.
They couldn't. Ric Flair invades the broadcast booth during the opening to cut a quick promo on his opponent for later in the night, Arn Anderson. It's just, typical Flair rambling on about a bunch of stuff. But yeah, opening match, man. Macho Man Randy Savage versus a total package Lex Luger. Hell of a match to open with here on Nitro. This was, kind of abnormal. This was stuff that you didn't see, like, even on Monday Night Raw a lot. You started to see it after they saw that Nitro was doing it. It was, you're having two of your tippy top guys here in the curtain jerker here. What was your thoughts on the booking of Macho Man and Lex Luger right off the bat?
I was surprised it was right off the bat because I thought that'd be a main event because that is a legit main event anywhere in the world for that time. Not now for obvious reasons. One of them's not alive, and the other one can't walk.
And the other one can't walk.
Well, I guess they both can't walk technically.
Yeah. So I guess you could say this was the response. I don't know how they would have known. Razor and 1-2-3 Kid started off Monday Night Raw.
What this probably was leading with your best foot forward to bring in those early 8:00 ratings.
Yes, the quarter hours. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Over on Monday Night Raw, like I said before we get to the finishes here, you have 1-2-3 Kid versus Razor. It really wasn't that much of anything. The match goes around 5.5 minutes, just under 6 minutes. It's more of a storyline match than anything else, with the story being, Kid refusing to back down from Razor to show that he is not, in fact, a kid. Well, we get that. They also have the other story component of, Lawler trying to insinuate that the 1-2-3 Kid and $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase are getting an alliance. Plus, we just saw the 1-2-3 Kid screw at Razor In Your House, showing some heel tendencies. So realistically, while you have Macho and Luger in an actual match, the leadoff match here on Raw was just to further a storyline. It wasn't really necessarily focused on the match. On the other side, you have an 8-minute match with Luger and Savage, and then as always, you have just with every big time match in WCW, there's always interference.
You gotta have your bullshit.
You always have to, man. And of course, we get that from the Giant. We get a big ref bump. The Giant makes he plants Savage with a choke slam. Then Luger wakes up from falling asleep and put Savage in the torture rack. The referee calls it. I still think it was a solid match up until the interference. I thought they did an okay job getting over that they really wanted to beat the crap out of each other, that was good from a storytelling point. That was good, but it was again, and this is going to be a running theme talking about WCW all the way to the end, is just a lame, worthless finish. And we didn't need the Giant. Why couldn't Luger have just gone over?
Yeah, and I don't know. I honestly do not know.
Yeah.
The only thing I can think of is, considering Eric Bischoff and who his BFF at this point in time is right now.
Yeah.
By having the Giant come in and insert himself, gets people talking about Hogan. Because that's because the Giants, and it's like, oh, well, the Giants here. Where's Hogan? Oh, Hogan's going to be here. Hogan, come out, save everybody. Like, it's to bring the Giant in. It's to pull the focus away. This is my opinion. I'm probably wrong, but I'm also probably right. It's to pull the focus away from the match that we have and to put it on the Giant, which in turn gets you thinking about Hogan.
Of course. Yeah. That was what it was in WCW 95, man, is let's find a way to make sure everything revolves around Hulk.
And the fucking Dungeon of Doom. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's bad. Like, I would have liked to have seen Luger just go over clean because, of course, there was a stipulation that if Luger lost, he would have to leave WCW. So just let the guy go over clean.
Yeah.
I'm sure Macho wouldn't have cared about doing the job. Who cares?
No, I don't. You could have had a good back and forth match. You don't have to throw Macho up in the rack and all that. You could have just had, hey, just a roll up. You got two guys who are very good in the ring and work well together. So just have like a little like a roll up, like Lex got the better of Macho on this one. Like, he got me. And then you have your stupid Giant nonsense fucking come out, Big Show turn face and heel while walking down the ramp. As far as I was crying.
I know. Then we got a preview for the Saturday night on that 6:05 on TBS, which
on the Superstation.
Yep, George and I. That's how we pretty much
followed by Bird on a Wire, starring Mel Gibson and Goldie Hawn.
Cinematic classic.
Yeah.
This was, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, George, I think you and I talked about this. That Saturday night show, man, I got to say, I'll always have a special place for it because that's how I found WCW.
Yeah. So, that was it, because we didn't have, this is where a lot of your internet idiots get it wrong with the whole, like Dynamite's outlasts WCW. No, it's outlasting Nitro. WCW still existed for 7 years before Nitro came along. Like it was still a thing. Like, you're not outlasting. You may outlast WCW. I mean, that's not much of a feat. TNA has done that. NWA is still doing that.
Yes.
So it's not really much to hang your hat on. But you're not outlasted WCW. You've outlasted Nitro. Way fucking different.
Yeah. We'll see Flying Brian and Arn Anderson taking on Dick Slater and Bunkhouse Buck. We'll find out why Johnny B. Bad missed his U.S. title match against Diamond Dallas Page. And Hacksaw Jim Duggan takes on Big Bubba Rogers. So, hey, look, guys, if you're around this Saturday at 6:05 on the Superstation, turn it on. I mean, you're not going to see anything, but you can at least say that you tried.
I'll turn on TBS now at like 6:05 on this coming Saturday, and it'll probably be a Star Wars marathon.
It'll be a Star Wars marathon.
But I'll turn it on, and it's going to be the Rise of Skywalker. And we're like, oh, God.
Jeez, Dean's all over it.
No, that's the one movie he legitimately hates.
I know.
It's so weird.
On the other end, on Raw, the hosts run down the card for the upcoming In Your House 4. We learn that Goldust will be facing the one and the only Marty Jannetty in his debut.
Oh, my God.
Barry Horowitz heads out to the ring. We learn that he is facing Hunter Hearst Helmsley. For those of you who don't know who that is Mr. Paul Levesque, Triple H.
Nobody.
Yeah, he's probably going to amount to nothing.
No.
The camera cuts to Helmsley getting ready backstage, and he says a fat chance with regards to Horowitz being able to beat him.
I don't know if I heard it right, and I didn't rewind to see if that's what I heard, but was Barry Horowitz entrance music just Hava Nagila?
Yes.
Thanks, Vince.
And then we get to something that I don't know why the WWF thought this was a good idea. But I guess at this point, man, they're going to try anything. They're going to throw all the shit possible at the wall and hope that it sticks. So please bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. An O.J. Simpson vote line appears on the screen where you can vote as to whether or not you believe him to be guilty. Vince considers this a WWF Americana poll and how the proceeds go to the National Exchange Club Foundation for the Prevention of Child Abuse.
It should have went to like domestic violence. Yeah. Idiot.
It costs 50 cents per vote. We'll get the results before the show airs and also learn that WWF interim president Gorilla Monsoon is not in the arena. And speaking about the foundation, they had no idea. The foundation that they're donating this to had no idea that the WWF was doing this. And they were not too pleased to learn that they were getting proceeds from a poll related to a double murder case. Like, you can't make this shit up, but Vince can. The WWF did end up taking the heat for all of this. And if you guys listen to an episode from way back in this time on Bruce Pritchard, you can hear how much he just hates the fact that this is even something that people can bring up and remember. Just so good.
I wish the line was still active so I could call it.
Oh, that would be great. We look at the next match here for the WWF. Barry Horowitz versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley. I mean, this goes about 5.5 minutes. It probably went about 5 minutes and 32 seconds too long. Triple H hits the pedigree, gets the win. Dude, like 5.5 minutes for Barry Horowitz. All right.
He just beat Skip at SummerSlam. I don't know why you have to be so negative towards Barry Horowitz.
I'm sorry. I forgot about how prominent Barry Horowitz
of his career.
Yeah.
He even went to WCW and continued to lose there.
Yeah, I know. At this point, Triple H is undefeated, so his undefeated streak stays intact. But you could tell, though, like at this point, there was just no direction for the character. So let's just keep feeding him. I guess you could say enhancement talent. Barry Horowitz was probably better, than average enhancement talent, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was solid in the ring, and he'll give you a safe match and make you look like $1 million.
Yeah. Over on the other,
because the way the way Triple H slid in and hit that pedigree, that was smooth. That was
really nice. Yeah, God, I love the pedigree.
And the way he hit it, Horowitz sold it perfectly.
He did. He did.
That's why he gets 5 minutes.
You're right. Over the other channel, we get an interruption from the Disco Inferno.
Yeah, damn right we do.
Yep. And that brings us, what a hell of a segue into Eddie Guerrero versus Dean Malenko. Dude, this was
boy, I have a problem with this match.
Please talk about it, because as do I, but I think we have the same one. This match goes 5.5 minutes. What was your problem with it? Because I think we probably have the same one.
First of all,
5.5 minutes.
That 5.5 minutes is trash, but I get it. People don't really know who Dean Malenko or Eddie Guerrero is. They were just sniped from ECW probably not long ago. Even though Bischoff swears he never did that, and then went back and was like, yeah, I did that. So good for you. But it's a main event anywhere in the world. These guys were just wrestled circles around each other.
Yep.
And the one thing that pissed me off more than anything was in the middle of this damn match. They cut away from it to show
Hulk
that
Hogan,
piece
baby.
of shit Hulk Hogan just show up at the stadium wearing a fake ass neck brace and still turning his head.
Yep. Well, he took his vitamins right before he showed up.
Yeah, that's what it was.
The one thing I did take away from this match is that Guerrero brainbuster on Dean Malenko looked like it damn near killed him. And I was just like, oh, I miss a good brainbuster. Like, just so good.
And then when Eddie stopped using it, Chavo started using it and using it to win matches. And it looked good when Chavo did it too.
Yeah. And of course, this is right before like the real takeoff of the cruiserweight division, which really revolutionized pro wrestling in the Americas. Of course, they did it over in Japan, but sorry, Dave, nobody over here gives a shit about whatever happens in Japan.
It wasn't televised over here, so we didn't watch it unless we were
reading your stupid newsletter.
Fucking tape traders outside of the Armor in Philly.
Exactly. But look, this was a precursor. They showed just incredible wrestling ability. The chemistry was just ungodly. But it sucks because, and you brought it up, and it's the same reason why I hated it. The crowd was completely taken out of this because of the stupid Hulk Hogan arrival.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, if you're only giving this match 5.5 minutes, why can't you do the Hulk Hogan arrival immediately after the 3 count?
Yeah.
Just let this soak in a little bit.
Because crap. Even for like crap. the people that are there, they can at least watch the match.
Yeah.
For the majority of us who, obviously we're watching on tape at this point, but we're now taken out of it because we're investing. Everything. You got Eddie and Dean in the ring. Yeah, I'm in. I'm invested the whole way, and then I'm immediately taken out of it to show fucking. And I don't. Yes, I loved Hogan then, and obviously I have my opinions about him now. But it's just like, dude, fucking really?
Yeah, I was so upset because it's just like, man, you wonder why the crowds are booing Hogan out of the arena because you're shoving him down our throat every opportunity that you can.
Like
why? Because he's telling you to.
Yeah, like they did the side by side. I was like, oh, I guess it's gonna be this, so I can still watch the match. And all of a sudden, the Eddie and Dean match went away, and here comes Hogan. Like, oh, where's the Giant?
Yeah. Just absolutely ridiculous, man. It's just brutal to watch sometimes.
But remember, he never pulled his creative control card.
No, he never does, ever.
Speaking on Hogan, real quick. I didn't watch all the Vince documentary. I only watched episode 1, but I did hear. I mean, it's all shit that we heard before, so it didn't give me any new information. But I did get a new live from Hulk Hogan, so that's always worth its weight to me. Hogan swears he didn't know he was going over Andre at WrestleMania 3 until Andre didn't kick out, and Hogan claims that Vince also thought the same thing. Now, Vince is many things. But he knows the outcome of his fucking matches he's putting for his biggest show of the year. And not just banking on whether or not this guy's going to do business.
I can't take it. Like, I just can't. It sucks because you and I and Dean, we all say, look, and also to anyone watching this, regardless of what is ever said about him, no matter how much trash we talk about Hulk Hogan, he's the greatest of all time. There's no doubt about it. It just is what it is. But dude, like as a guy gets older, he just can't help himself to just lie so much and just make things up. And you know what they say, like, you tell yourself the lie so many different times for so many years, you end up believing your own lies. Yeah. And that's what's happened with Hulk Hogan. And it sucks to see because he's a great storyteller. He is. I would love for him to do a podcast. I don't care if it's not, if it's all BS, he's going to make it sound great. Because I can only imagine the stories of going up and down the road of Hulk Hogan during Hulkamania.
Who's going to want to do a podcast when that's a thing? That's another thing. Because you can't trust Hogan to do all the levels and, post and shit and all that. Like
Conrad would do it.
You think Conrad would? I mean, he's a slut. He'll fucking do a podcast with anybody.
Yeah, I'm sure if Hulk Hogan, because he also does one with his best friend Eric Bischoff. So I mean, there's that connection there.
Yeah. Hulk, so chat me up real quick. Like I couldn't sit through that.
It would be kind of hard. All right, so Mean Gene Okerlund brings out the WCW World Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan, still sporting the neck brace from the Giants' brutal attack back at Fall Brawl. Again, just getting massively booed. Hulk Hogan talks about a fan waiting for a double lung transplant. That's what he said. That gave him some of the worst inspiration words of wisdom you will ever hear. It was just hard to listen to.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it's bad, everyone. Hulk Hogan continues to call the Giant Big Stinky, all this great, wonderful, hokey stuff. Hogan leaves the ring to high-five fans and gets powder thrown in his face by a short, old woman. Oh, that's right. It's Kevin Sullivan in drag.
Of course it is. There's no way. So, who is that? I wonder who that is. We fucking know who it is.
Yeah. I guess someone thought Ric Flair and Dragon Uncensored was a great idea.
Yeah.
The Giant and Brutus, the Zodiac Beefcake, comes to the ring. So the Hogan beatdown continues. They shave the mustache of the Hulkster. Then the Nasty Boys try to come and make the save, but they're laid out. So this was all something. Like
it was
something.
Yeah.
It was something, man.
The fight is, while all this is going on, you get Bischoff, who every 5 minutes it keeps saying, "Oh, this is where the big boys play. This is where all the men are. This is the best. We're giving you the best in our live entertainment." It's like now I'm starting to hear where some other people are getting their inspiration.
Yeah,
just the constant regurgitation of the tagline or the catchphrase, the constant on and on and on and on. It's like, I get it, Eric. Like, I'm watching your show. You don't need to keep telling me to stay tuned in.
I know.
You never know what's going to happen when it's live.
Yeah. And by the way,
I knew this was going to happen. Then I want to change the damn channel.
Yeah. And by the way, Eric, it doesn't matter what Hulk Hogan's saying about double lung transplants and a Kevin Sullivan a drag. They're going to watch your show no matter what because of what's on Monday Night Raw right around the same time. PG-13 versus Sonny Rogers and Al Brown. You're fine, Eric.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah.
At one point, my favorite part of this match, maybe my favorite part.
Was when it ended?
No, right before it. My favorite part about Monday Night Raw. So you go to Rogers, he tags out, and Brown runs wild on Woofy briefly. It's amazing I have to say that sentence until he misses a corner charge and gets planted. He he starts running wild on Woofy briefly until he misses a corner charge and gets planted with a released German suplex. Jerry Lawler yells, "He's from the hood, McMahon."
I'm surprised McMahon didn't follow up with "Yeah, I'm from the hood too, G," or say any other word that he said on that he will say on Monday
later on. Yeah,
10 years later, in fact.
I mean, look, I guess you could say I read around the internet like reports of this match, and a lot of people said PG-13 looked good. I guess define what good is. Because I guess at this time the WWF, they're in dire need for talent.
They looked like a tag team.
That's true.
That's what they look like. They look like a generic tag team.
Yeah.
And they were, I think they said like USDA.
The USWA tag champs at the time.
Not they were the USDA ground beef tag team champions. The USWA tag team champions. Yeah, like I get, you want to put that clout. You're giving another company some cred on TV, give them a shout out, which is actually something Vince has done in the past, but it's kind of overlooked because even when like Cornette came down and Jarrett was NWA champion, he'd show up on TV with the NWA title,
right,
with the 10 pounds of gold. So it's not like Vince was always just like, I'm never going to mention this person on TV. He did give help where it was. It's just if you were a bad businessman and did shady tactics, he didn't want to do business with you.
Yeah, and
I mean, from a business acumen, he does know his shit. From a personal standpoint, he's a pile of it.
That's the thing. And you look at it this way, you look at this time period, the tag team division is in complete disarray. So at this point, I think Vince is like grasping at straws to look for a tag team matchup for the Smoking Guns. I mean, I'm guessing that's probably the only reason you're seeing PG-13 here, right?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, who were the other tag teams, legit tag teams that you actually have on Raw at this time? You have Owen and Yoko. You got the Body Donnas, but they're not winning matches. I mean, Skip's losing singles matches to Barry Horowitz, so they're not getting a push. Yeah, Men on a mission. Yeah, Men on a mission, but Mabel is injuring everybody he gets in the ring with.
Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of, with the Head Shrinker still there at this time and just not on TV?
In 95?
Fatu and Samu?
Oof.
Has to be, because in '96, Rikishi shows up as Make a Difference Fatu before he becomes a Sultan. So they had to be there somewhere. Samu just might have been injured, probably just didn't have anything for Fatu.
That's true. So I didn't even think about that, but I guess that's not. I don't know. I don't want to say.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I don't want to say.
I don't want to go digging through a 1995 roster and find the Blue Brothers, Eli and Jacob. I'll just make myself
that's
sad.
Right. Let's kind of go over now to WCW, who's already going into their main event. Again, man, this Monday Nitro has 2 matches, one of which absolutely should have been a pay-per-view match, which is the main event here of Monday Nitro, and that's Arn Anderson versus the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Man, like, look, again, like, we try to go into this whole thing where we're watching these shows for the first time in forever, and I'm trying to take a fresh perspective on it, George. You know that if you do a pay-per-view, you're going to make money. That's how a lot of companies, like in 95, 96, 97, if pay-per-views did good, you were making damn good money.
Yeah.
Why, even at this point, it's October. I get it. It's been just about a month that Monday Nitro's been born, since they've been born. Are you putting 4 of your top guys in main event matches on Monday Nitro when you could have saved them for a pay-per-view, especially for Halloween Havoc, which is the A show? That's it's not Starrcade. Even Eric Bischoff will say Halloween Havoc was the premier show. And I agree. I always bought Halloween Havoc for WCW.
Mm-hmm.
So do you look back and you look at it from a perspective of, I've never watched this Nitro before? Do you understand what Bischoff was doing, and do you agree with it?
I understand what he was trying to do, but see, we have the benefit of hindsight at this point.
Yeah.
We're looking at 1995 through 2024 goggles. Mm-hmm. So we can't really be objective in our scenario. We can look at it and be like, I understand why he did it, because it was, if you're putting these names, these main event talents, mm-hmm. and Arn Anderson, mm-hmm. On your show,
how dare you?
You're gonna get more eyes to your product. It's like, like, we have this. Come see what we have here.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you got PG-13 being a couple jobbers over on the other show.
Right.
So, long-term wise, it definitely fucking hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
Because Bischoff eventually becomes so obsessed with ratings and winning a ratings battle that he loses sight of the most important thing in a business, which is making money. Because don't forget, we're 3 years away from them just giving us Goldberg and Hogan for free on Nitro.
You're right. You're very right.
Like, he is so consumed with just beating Vince McMahon and the WWF. And for their credit, for 83 weeks, they did.
Yes, they did.
So, and I think at that point, he's so close to the pinnacle. He's basically like, he's almost like 2 steps from kicking him off the side of the cliff. So he's just going to throw everything he can to see what's going to work. Problem with Goldberg and Hogan, is, I mean, not only that it was done for free, but this was in the summer of '98, mm-hmm. and over on the other show, you got WWF champion Stone Cold Steve Austin, mm-hmm. gearing up for his match against The Undertaker at SummerSlam '98, arguably one of the greatest pay-per-views of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So Vince knew how to play the long game. Like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Eric was just trying to go for the jugular immediately and just trying to do whatever he could to get a win.
I agree. And this is like a very historic part of the Monday Night Wars of this specific episode, because midway through the match, George, I'm not sure if you knew this, midway through the match, TNT breaks in to the breaking news on CNN because of the verdict for the OJ case.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, that was why WWF was doing that whole thing at the end of the show. We'll see what the results were of what people thought, if he was guilty or not. So pretty cool there. But this match goes 8 minutes and 15 seconds. Flying Brian runs in, splashes Ric Flair to draw the disqualification. Flair fights Pillman off until Anderson recovers and clips the legs. Of course, a beatdown followed. This was obviously incredibly rushed. And it never even had, it had the beginning, it had the end. Like, there was really no middle portion where we could really see a good wrestling match between these two, like, just historic figures and these stalwarts of the Four Horsemen. It went back and forth a little bit. I thought it was still good, but I still think it was incredibly disappointing compared to their pay-per-view match 3 weeks earlier. This could have been saved for another pay-per-view match, another blow-off, because next week we're going to get them in a steel cage. Why not hold the steel cage match off until Halloween Havoc?
No, we have to beat the other show. What are you, stupid?
Yeah, I know. What was your thoughts on that main event?
Another one that had to have a run-in.
Yeah.
It's another match with a run-in.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's common ground at this point.
Yeah.
But I also didn't really like the feud between Flair and Arn Anderson. It didn't do anything for me because as legendary and influential as Arn Anderson is, when I watch him in a match, he's no different than anybody else I'll see in WCW.
Right.
He didn't have anything that stood out to me except for the fact that he looked like a 60-year-old man when he was 34.
Always. Yeah, just crazy. And they announced after the match that Ric Flair will take on Arn Anderson next week inside of a steel cage. Also, will be Sting taking on the Shark. Please be there for that. Sabu faces the newcomer, Mr. JL. And Road Warrior.
Who's JL? Was that Jerry Flynn?
That was Jerry Flynn.
So why wasn't he just JF? Because Jerry Lynn's not a thing yet.
I don't know. That's a great question. Road Warrior Hulk goes up against Big Bubba Rogers, and that'll be from the Rosemont in Chicago, Illinois, the following match. Over on Monday Night Raw, we have the barn burner of a main event, and that is Jean-Pierre Lafitte versus Bret the Hitman Hart. This match goes just over 11 minutes.
It felt like it was on forever.
It did. And
I don't mean that in a negative way, because it was actually a really good contest.
It was actually really good. The crowd did go nuts when Bret turned Lafitte over for that sharpshooter.
Oh, yeah, they did.
To get the, I was like kind of surprised that the crowd got that into it. Vince brings up Lawler actually staying out of this match. Then we see a replay of Bret's superplex. Bret celebrates and heads out towards Lawler. The two have words and Bret walks away. Then Lawler takes off his shirt and stands on the announcer's table. So Bret runs over and fires away. Bret punches Lawler over the guardrail, but Isaac Yankem runs out to attack Bret, then hit him with the DDS on the floor.
That's got to be Yankem.
It's got to be. Look, I thought that was a very, very, very good match. Just maybe a tippy little notch below their pay-per-view match. What was your thoughts on that main event?
Long-term storytelling is Jerry Lawler's hatred for the Hart family.
That's correct.
I also remember it was around this time that every time Bret or Owen would come out, and if Stu and Helen were in attendance, Lawler would just have to make a crack about how Helen was just 5 steps from the grave at any time. Oh, look at her, McMahon. She could die at any second. That old bat. Good.
Oh, my God. So I took this this excerpt out of Something to Wrestle, which also included Wade Keller from the Pro Wrestling Torch about the what was going on with this match and beyond it. Let me go. Okay, so at the September show at the Montreal Forum, there was a situation where Lafitte was facing Diesel and thought they were going to have a finish that led to a rematch the next month. However, Lafitte, big-time main event superstar, was livid since he was asked to lose and refused to wrestle until, according to Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Torch, Vince himself held a conference call with Lafitte again all-time professional wrestler, world champion all around the world, Diesel and road agent Rene Goulet, where they settled on a double count-out finish that Keller added, please, no one but Lafitte. Then Lafitte hurt Diesel the next night with a flying leg drop. Shane Douglas brought up in his U-Shoot with kayfabe commentaries how the rest of the clique, particularly Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon, riled up Diesel. Then, according to Douglas, one of them said that they would go get in Vince's ear to bleed Lafitte dry by having him sit at home and not make any money, which I can definitely see at that time, both of them guys doing that. However, according to Lafitte in his interview with Hannibal TV in 2016, he was young and arrogant due to his undefeated record at the time and felt he should be a future champion and wanted to leave. We will get, I'm sure we'll get more of this in a later timeline, but what in the world? And I don't, this is the thing that Vince caused. Vince booked Canada vastly different than he ever booked anything in the Americas. And why would a guy like Lafitte or even Vince or I don't care if it's Rene Goulet, I don't care if it's Doc Hendricks, I don't care who it is, in no world in 1995, I don't care where you are, is Jean-Pierre Lafitte competing at all in a match and looking good at all against your world champion 7-footer Diesel. Yeah. Why would Vince or anyone not have just looked at Jean-Pierre Lafitte and say, go home, you're nobody?
Yeah, or at least like talk him down and be like, hey, let's see maybe, like an Intercontinental title run. Let's see how you handle that first before you just jump right into, I'm going to beat Diesel clean. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
I can't even if Lafitte, I'm sure what he told Hannibal TV is all bullshit and lie anyway. Even if what he's saying is sure how he felt like he'd be a future champion, Diesel is your world champion. You don't go over at all. You take the power bomb, 1, 2, 3. The Montreal fans aren't going to give a shit if you lose or not. Come on, it's the world champion, man. Relax. You're not Hulk Hogan.
Montreal fans only care if one person loses.
That's right. So
Bahrain would lose their fucking minds.
Oh my God, Bahrain would probably throw a bomb somewhere. Back from commercial as Vince blames Lawler for provoking Brett, then lets us know that Gorilla was watching at home and has made a cage match between Brett and Isaac Yankem. Lawler blames Brett for injuring his eye as Vince does not care since he blames Lawler for the confrontation. With the announcement of Brett facing the winner of the In Your House title match at Survivor Series, seems that this cage match will finally be the blow-off of the feud. Obviously, Brett's going to stick around in that main event picture.
And so he should.
Absolutely.
They don't have anybody else.
Oh, yeah. No.
Diesel, Taker, and Shawn's not even there yet.
Right. So let's talk about our final thoughts about these shows. For WCW, man, I thought the build-up to the Giant and Hogan match at Halloween Havoc continues to be a complete and utter mixed bag. One week, I thought, like last week, it was fine. They did what they were supposed to do. They made the Giant look like a monster, which he is. This week, boy, did they make Hulk Hogan just look hokey and just whiny and just terrible. Kudos to putting, so much effort into getting an unknown over for such a match, which is the Giant at this time. But then you have this week, you have Kevin Sullivan dressed in drag, ambushing the champ. It's lame. It's so lame. And then you shave off his mustache, which I guess was for a part in a movie coming up, which I understand.
Yeah, I think he was doing Secret Agent Club.
Yeah, what a barn burner. But still, I thought the ring work of the night was average because I felt they completely disrespected Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko, which could have put on a clinic within another 5 minutes added to it.
But also disrespected Macho Man and Luger for having to run in the middle of that match.
If you're building to Hogan and Giant, what the hell does it have to do with Luger and Macho? Relax.
Like I said, it was probably what I said. because
you're right.
because it gets the attention off of Luger and Mach and onto somebody else who thinks he's the fucking top dog. I mean, he is. I'm not going to deny that he's not.
Yeah.
But that's probably what it was. Like, hey, brother, why don't you have the Dungeon of Doom go attack Mach and Lex? Like, it's not going to help them by looking stronger if they come down and attack those two. You guys already look strong last week.
Yep.
You don't need to keep doing it.
I agree. Final thoughts on Monday Night Raw. I thought it was a decent show with, again, like everything in WWF, a strong main event. And then the next week, we're going to have another pretty good marquee main event with the cage match, which I guess will probably happen. Does that happen the following week or 2 weeks? I can't remember. But I know they're still planning it. And I know at this time there was rumors about Jeff Jarrett coming back to the WWF. So there was a lot happening with the WWF at this time. Again, it's still in that complete transition mode. But and look at the ratings, dead tie. Both drew a 2.5 in the ratings. But in your opinion, George, which company had the better show here on week 4 of the War Room?
Despite the pure hokiness of Monday Nitro, looking at the two shows side by side, I think Nitro had the better show.
I agree, by the slimmest of margins.
Yeah, like it's not an absolute blowout. It's like a one-run win.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you totally.
A one-run win that was walked in.
Yes, I agree. All right. So next week, again, we're going to be covering the October 9th editions of Monday Nitro and Monday Night Raw. I think this is the first week since we started. The first week didn't really count because Nitro didn't go up against anything. So since we've actually been having a Raw and Nitro to cover, I believe that's the first week that Nitro has had the better show. So the score is 3-1, or I guess 2-1 WWF right now. George, appreciate you coming on. As always, this is always fun. Looking forward to next week. I know you are the co-host of the Multiverse Movie Podcast, and you guys are in absolutely my favorite part of your show.
Tentpole time.
It is. And I don't, for those of you who might not know me, I hate horror. I'm terrified of it all. I get pee-pee pants.
He gets pee-pee pants and poopy mouth.
So, but I love the 666 Weeks of Horror that the Multiverse Movie Podcast does. And, you know, you guys just did Evil Dead 2. What do you got on the docket for next week?
For next week, which is this week, we have, and it's the 20th anniversary.
Wow.
Well, this year is the 20th anniversary of Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead.
About 20 years already.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I watched it the other day. It's so weird seeing a Zack Snyder movie only be an hour 40 minutes.
Not 4.5 hours.
You're not going to tell me there's not a 4-hour cut of Dawn of the Dead somewhere.
It definitely is somewhere.
And it was. I love it because it's just it's two guys who are just great friends, and Zack Snyder and James Gunn, because James Gunn wrote it. And when you watch the movie, you're like, this doesn't feel like a Zack Snyder movie, and it doesn't feel like it was written by James Gunn.
Wow.
Like it's just crisp storytelling. And it's a great movie. I know like Romero kind of shunned it, but yeah, it's a remake of his movie that, you know, he had a message behind it. There really wasn't one behind this. So
any chance you guys have Hollywood H2O or Rob Zombie's Halloween on the docket?
Not this year or ever. Actually, if we're still going on with the Halloween movies, next year will probably be H2O.
Okay.
Because we're doing Halloween 6 this year, which is terrifying.
Yes. But that's awesome. How many movies do you guys have in the can that could this last a few more years?
I mean, we have next year almost already completely planned out.
Perfect. All right. All right. Again, guys, he is the co-host of the Multiverse Movie Podcast. Head over to anywhere you listen to podcasts, subscribe to that show, follow it. It's a lot of fun. So again, if you're watching this on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, ring that bell for notifications on when we post a show, either a live one or a recording. Just stay locked on our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching the show. Next week, week 5 of the War Room, as we go all the way back in time and we do a Monday Night War rewatch as we go week to week in order. Thank you guys very much. We hope you have a great rest of your week, and we'll catch you here next Monday night. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.